Okay, so as a professional writer since 2017, I've learned a lot of lessons, often through making mistakes. It's normal. And while I always loved writing, I never thought I would be a full-time freelancer. I even went to college and worked in healthcare prior to becoming a freelancer. But when I couldn't find a flexible job in my field, in my area, I turned to freelance writing basically out of desperation. Looking back now, I'm really glad that this happened to me. I want to share some mistakes that I made early on so you can avoid them or at least be prepared. None of these mistakes will ruin your career, but being aware of them can save you some silly, pointless, avoidable missteps. One of my first big mistakes was telling a client that I knew how to write for SEO when in reality I had zero experience or training. I just wanted to impress this client. What happened next actually sparked a whole new direction in my career, which is good, but I still was not being completely honest about my skills. Anyway, I dove headfirst into SEO, and back then there weren't as many resources for writers. So I learned mostly through hands-on experience and researching everything I could about SEO best practices. So my advice to you now is this: be honest with clients. If they ask you to do something you're not skilled at yet, it's okay to say no, and it's okay that you don't have a certain skill. You can explain that it's currently not in your expertise, but luckily today, information and courses are easily accessible if you want to build those skills. As an experienced writer now, I'm much more comfortable with what I can and can't do. But as a new writer, I know you might feel pressured to say yes to everything. So just be cautious before promising a new client that you can do something. Another mistake that was really more of a learning process involved my portfolio website. When I compare my website back then to what it looked like and what copywriting I had on it when I first started compared to my website now, it's changed so much over the years. I've probably updated it 7 or 8 times completely within the last 7, 8 years. As I matured and gained more expertise and experience within my writing business, I started to truly understand the value of my services and how to explain that to clients. So if your portfolio site is new and you feel like it could be better, just know that having a subpar website, especially in the beginning of your career, is really normal. As your career progresses, you'll figure out how to market yourself better and how to communicate your value. Showing clients your worth can be really tough, and explaining that, especially when you're just starting out and trying to land those first few clients. But over time, you'll get much better at talking about your value and you'll become more effective on discovery calls as well. So while it's not a mistake to have a work in progress website, I highly recommend looking at your website, all the pages, the flow, the experience, what it looks like, what you're saying. Explore that, analyze it about every 6 months or so to see how you can make improvements. So here's another mistake. Early on, I relied pretty heavily on job bidding sites like Upwork or Fiverr. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with those sites now. I did land a lot of big clients through platforms like Upwork, but over the last few years, these sites have gotten really good at making money for their services. They used to be free or they had very minimal fees, but now they're charging higher fees, monthly memberships, and it even costs to connect with people to send a proposal before you even get a job. And so these fees can really start to eat into your earnings, especially for a new writer. When you use job bidding sites, make sure you understand exactly how much money they're taking out of your project, but also look for other ways to find clients. It's important to diversify how you get work. I've used mainly a mix of cold pitching and making my own website strong with SEO to get more visibility. If you need more ideas about how and where to find clients, check out ambitiouswritersociety.com. We have tons of content to finding clients, landing gigs, optimizing your website, and everything is tailored to freelance writers who want to build a real career. Another huge mistake that I want to highlight is skipping out on discovery calls with clients. At the very beginning of my career, I'd get on lots of calls and made sure that I talked live to every potential client that I came across. Then I got a little too comfortable. There were a few times when I thought I understood the project just from talking via emails or messages, and I think, I don't need a call, I'll just send a quote and we can get started. That turned out to be a huge mistake because the times that I did that and I didn't have the discovery call, those clients ended up being really difficult to work with. They were unhappy with me, or there was just big misunderstandings about the project. And those client experiences were always my worst client experiences. So whether you're brand new or very experienced, do not skip out on discovery calls and getting on a live call with a client. Live calls give you so much more insight into what the client truly needs and their timeline and the details that they might forget to mention via email. And most importantly, talking live with a potential client gives you the chance to spot any red flags or yellow flags. There's been plenty of times in my career where a situation looked really good on paper, but after talking to them, something just felt off. And that feeling helped me decide to either pass on the job or price myself out of it because something just seemed wrong. So always do your discovery calls. So those were the top mistakes that I made early on in my career. So I hope that you can be aware of them, avoid them, maybe get through them easier than I did. So I hope that this helps.